Agreed.
And actually, some of this is like Air Force bombing ranges, which would not be good. So yeah, it's good to know now rather than after they're built.
At least we don't have, at least we're not Russia that accidentally bombed its own city yesterday. I don't know if you saw that headline. So, well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. On this Earth Day, April 22nd, 2023, half of us remotely from one of the most beautiful spots on the Earth. I'm Eric Planey.
I am Lucas Finco.
And together we are the Pirates of the Caribbean. No, we are.
No,
Disney, don't come after us. We are the Pirates of Clean Tech.
Yarr. We're actual pirates right now.
We are.
In the actual Caribbean.
There is not rum in my cup. This is coffee.
Well, you are anyhow. I'm not.
Well, by default, you're here. Happy to say hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to say that I'm on a little bit of a weekend getaway with the missus. We are in the beautiful U.S. Virgin Islands, and more specifically, we're in St. Croix at the Marriott Carmabola. I can never say it right. Resort, but really, it's just great to be here. I was in St. Croix 25 years ago for 24 hours. And so as my wife said when we landed yesterday, this is your 25th hour and forward. But it's really great to be in the Virgin Islands. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous place.
Oh, I just love the Caribbean. The weather's always perfect. The sun is always out. It rains once a day. It's like, sand is great. Water's great. So much fun.
It's amazing when you get the weather forecast for the next 5 days. It's like low 78, high 83, all 5 days.
Yeah, every day.
It just doesn't even move. And it's the breeze does go away, and sometimes it gets a little warm, but then that breeze comes back and it feels fantastic. So we're very lucky to be here. And really, it's great to be here on Earth Day because of things that Lucas and I are going to talk about today that are very relevant for the Caribbean area and what the U.S. could be doing more in the Caribbean. But it's just great to be here because this is an area that appreciates nature.
Yeah, and happy Earth Day to everybody. Glad you could join us for Earth Day. Ooh, hopefully I do post this video during Earth Day so you can enjoy it. Hopefully you got out. Hopefully you did something. I know I went out tree planting. So there's always something, it doesn't even have to be that hard or time consuming or, a lot of heavy lifting. Just go out and help the earth for a day. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to add to that. I was give a shout out to my head of marketing at Solobach Lee, who posted yesterday on LinkedIn that every day is Earth Day. There's a little meme gift going around. And that's really how we have to treat it. So today's a day where we acknowledge all the work that everybody is doing. But for all of those kind of Monday morning quarterbacks who love to celebrate Earth Day, then maybe not change your habits or maybe not get more involved. Start questioning why you're doing that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a practice day for your new routine. So
yeah. I was slightly inspired between the virgin pina coladas. I haven't been drinking the full octane rum ones. Trying to be a little healthy this weekend. But I wrote a piece on LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about this in some of our articles. But, I love when I come to an area like St. Croix or Puerto Rico or wherever. It's great to get on the internet, spend a little time and figure out where their sources of electricity are. How green is their country? What are they doing? What is creative and innovative? So we actually have some articles, both of us, that are going to talk a little bit about that. So I think we should just go right into it. I don't know about you.
Yeah. You want to get into it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. April 12th from Reuters. FEMA sued over lack of renewables in rebuilding Puerto Rico's power grid. So presumably FEMA has, a lot of funds to help Puerto Rico rebuild from, Hurricane Maria. This was 5 years ago. And then they had another outage, it looks like last year.
With Fiona.
From Fiona, right. So their power grid's been just totally devastated, and a lot of people wanted to come back and rebuild green. Elon Musk made that offer to send solar panels and storage to Puerto Rico to rebuild back better. And it's just really sad to see that FEMA is only interested in restoring older fossil fuel powered systems, and they're not doing any environmental impact analysis. So this is really sad to see. It's really sad also that it has to come to a lawsuit. So yeah, I really hope this can get resolved for the better.
Okay, so I'm really glad you posted this. It's funny because my wife and I flew into Puerto Rico Thursday evening, stayed the night there, and then came into St. Croix yesterday. We love Puerto Rico. We've been there numerous times. I was disappointed not to see as much distributed solar set up in San Juan. That being said, I've been reading and following myself, and I know a lot of people and organizations, especially safety forces, hospitals, are putting solars on the roof so that they can have resiliency from these horrible hurricanes. You know, the idea that FEMA is set up to get people back up on their feet. And unfortunately, they're not mandated to, quote, build back better, unquote. They are really mandated just to take what was there and to get it back up and running again. So I don't 100% fault FEMA because their mission is not to bring clean energy to the people. That being said, in this particular case, okay, Secretary Granholm, President Biden should be telling FEMA and be working through the legalities of this to get Puerto Rico back up and running using 80, 90% renewable energy, and also having distributed out there for resiliency play. These hurricanes aren't going away anytime soon. So the grid is fragile. They need to have redundancy and resiliency, and they need to be using 100% renewable as soon as they can. Great story.
Yeah, I agree. It can be done. I seem to remember an initiative to move the Caribbean 100% renewable from like 7 years ago. So what's going on? Where's that at? So I think this is just another example. I'm going to have another one here that we're in the mid transition. We're in the middle of the energy transition. We're no longer in the beginning. Things are getting messy. Things are propping up that we didn't think about before. I know there was a big panel talk this week. I don't think I couldn't make it, but I didn't get any credit for coining the mid transition, but it's catching on now. Everybody's talking about mid transition. So you heard it here first. So I'll move on now. This one care of Bloomberg. This is April 17th from Jennifer DeLuey. Pentagon sounds alarm over Biden plan for offshore wind sites. Defense Department has raised concerns about East Coast areas earmarked for new wind farms and a setback for the fledgling industry. We all know about these auctions that have been going on. It looks like the New Jersey auction is just fine, I guess. And the Block Island and all those Montauk farms, those look okay. But it looks like the Navy typically does exercises, and this would make sense right outside of Norfolk, Virginia, which is where a very large naval base is. And they do exercises in the areas of these wind farms. So they're just sending a notice that a lot of these wind farms are in the area of naval exercises. And so they have this little map even where they basically put all the areas in red, which they call highly problematic. That's interesting to see. So this is another one of those issues. This is a mid-transition issue where things are messy. It's not simple anymore. We really got to think about what we're doing. We got to think about the people involved. And we really have to plan appropriately so that we can get this wind deployed.
I mean, another great story, but it's another story where why can't federal government department A be talking to federal government department B?
Yeah.
Right? And just ahead of time. And I'm sorry, people who are putting wind farms up in these deep ocean ports, they know that there's naval activity in these ports, right? They know that
right.
there's, so why isn't somebody calling up the Secretary of the Navy? And it sounds like likewise the Pentagon is doing this and it leaked to the media. But they need to be talking to each other a little bit sooner. There's all kinds of issues that need to get rectified, but they will get rectified. So hopefully this is one of those glitch articles. We go over it, it's taken care of, and 2 months from now we can report that everyone's moving on. Wind farm auctions are taking place, and that's it. But I love your phrase mid-transition because that's exactly where we are.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything nefarious. I don't think this was a leak. I think this was a very straightforward sharing of information saying, look, those wind farms, that's where we have our naval exercises.
Agreed.
And actually, some of this is like Air Force bombing ranges, which would not be good. So yeah, it's good to know now rather than after they're built.
At least we don't have, at least we're not Russia that accidentally bombed its own city yesterday. I don't know if you saw that headline. So,
Yeah, see, so this is way better than that.
Yeah, exactly. So the bar is raised.
That's all I had. I think if you're not convinced we're in the mid transition, I can't help you.
Yeah, and just please, governments, agencies, talk to each other.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Make sure you're engaging stakeholders and having discussions if you're building renewables.
So I've got 4, but we're going to go through mine really quick. This one was kind of mind blowing, right? And honestly, I was just doing for a search because we haven't talked about green hydrogen in a while.
Okay.
So this one is amazing. This is from Forbes from April 12th. An LA startup aims to turn the oceans into a CO2 sponge and a green hydrogen machine. So at first, scientists at UCLA, and they have an institute actually called the Institute for Carbon Management, has identified that there's 3 to 4 times more carbon in the oceans than in the air itself. And so their whole premise is, with global warming taking place, if you want to stop carbon from getting in the air, you got to pull it out of the ocean first. So they're coming up, I think they've gotten 30 million in seed technology, all the way from seed funding, all the way from Singapore's sovereign wealth fund to the United States DoD, to look at ways in which they can actually take the CO2 out of the ocean and then use the byproducts to create things like carbon-free energy, green hydrogen, etc. Really great story, mind-blowing. I never knew about how much CO2 is actually stored in the ocean water. So I just thought this is a great little find. And, another thing we're talking about, because I'm still not 100% convinced green hydrogen is the way to go. I think it may be diverting so much capital away from more proven technologies. But when you see something like this, this is definitely worth exploring at the R&D. I guess a couple pilots are already being made, et cetera.
Yeah, this is super cool. This is a really interesting idea. I mean, these are the kind of innovations that we need, right? There's all these like, well, how are we going to do carbon capture and sequestration for X dollars? And then you see stuff like this and you're like, it gives you hope that we can get there, right?
Yeah, 100%. So great story. Again, we're the pirates of clean tech, so sometimes we got to actually focus on some new tech. And this was one of them. Okay, now this one is near and dear to my heart. This is from the St. Croix source. Just as of yesterday, VIO breaks ground on solar and battery microgrid to enhance energy resilience at hurricane shelters. VIO, which sounds like a really cool band name, is actually the Virgin Islands Energy Organization. I'm hoping that we can get VIO on as a guest of Pirates of Clean Tech sometime soon. But just last week, they broke ground on a construction of 125 kilowatt solar, plus I think it was the 300 kilowatt battery microgrid at the St. Croix Educational Complex. And this goes a little bit what we were saying about Puerto Rico. These islands are getting crushed, if you will, by the hurricanes. They're becoming more devastating, more impactful. 100-year hurricanes are happening every 10, 15 years. These islands get set back and they need to rebuild. So what they're doing on a little by little basis, especially this organization VIO, they're just putting in, emergency shelters that are going to have really strong solar and battery backup. And I think that's the incremental way. And plus, the school system that's going to actually have it under blue sky conditions are going to offset about $6,000 a month in utility costs that the school incurs under normal operations. So in doing my research on St. Croix, their electricity pricing is 41 cents a kilowatt hour right now in 2022.
It's crazy.
That's all the Virgin Islands, not just St. Croix. So what's it in America? 10 to 15 cents is the average. So this is 3 times more. Add to it, almost 100% of power generation in the Virgin Islands is coming from fossil fuels. 2/3 from propane, the rest from fuel oil. Only 3%, this 3% of the Virgin Islands power generation is coming from solar right now. Okay. I have to put SPF 30 on every minute because the sun is so intense that my Eastern European skin is getting fried. Okay? In order for me to survive. That is how intense the sun is in the Caribbean. And yet, only 3% of the Virgin Islands power is coming from solar right now. And most of that 3% is coming from wealthy individuals that are able to put it on their rooftops,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure when you look at average household incomes in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, that's a really tough lift for them to come up with that. And think about how expensive electricity is in countries like Virgin Islands, in areas, territories, relative to average family income. We've got to do something about this. And I think the Biden administration, and by the way, Joe and Jill Biden love St. Croix. They come here all the time when they were in office and not in office. They came here this past December. They need to look at these islands as a test bed for clean tech. And I would love to see the DOE starting to put some incubation here and testing, new technologies, leapfrogging the existing grid. So Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, we need to be addressing this. So shout out to VIO for this small project, but these small projects add up over time.
Yeah, so this is 125 kilowatts solar plus 300 kilowatt hour battery. So it's almost a 3-hour battery at full load. So that could probably cover them well into the night. And yeah, such a setup might not even need the grid. So this is really cool to see.
Yeah, and hats off. So VIO, if you're listening, we want to get you on the show and hear a little bit more about what you guys are doing.
Yep.
Okay, the Driven publication about electric vehicles, obviously. Just from, I think this is from this morning, actually. No, yesterday.
Oh.
World's largest battery maker announces major breakthrough in energy density. So obviously, this is talking about the Chinese firm CATL, CATL, that has been just, killing it in terms of, their prolific growth in terms of EV batteries.
Yeah.
So honestly, I read this one this morning, and it really just caught my eye that they came up with a denser lithium-ion battery that says it's going to have double the energy intensity of the Tesla 4680 cell, which is operating about 280 watt per kilogram, which is considered very high right now. So this looks to be kind of the next generation. And when you read this article a little bit, it talks about we're getting to the point where apparently Elon Musk said by the year 2023, we're going to have 400 watt hours per kilogram. And it looks like we're actually going to get there. And he thinks that's going to open up electric jets as well. So, CATL, you can look at them as competition because they're Chinese, but you know what? We need competition to drive innovation. And so hats off to CATL. Hats off if this density comes to play. I'm still, invested in solid state in the future. So I hope solid state's a big part of this, but just another good tech story talking about what's happening.
Oh, yeah, this is crazy. Argonne thinks they can get up to 1,200 as an R&D kind of upper bound, it looks like. So there's still a lot more room for innovation here. So, wow, this is huge. This is crazy. I don't see anything about price on here. So again, I think this still fits in my paradigm of lithium is going to be the premium battery. It's going to be expensive, but you get all the performance you want. And, the rest of us plebeians are going to be driving sodium ion batteries. So, but this is awesome. This is a huge breakthrough.
You know what? I still look at it this way, and I know car prices have skyrocketed over the last 18 months. So, but we need a 400-mile range car that's going to cost 35 to 40,000.
Right.
And I think we're very, very close to that. And so I'm very happy about what I'm seeing.
You're going to get a 600-mile range vehicle for God knows what price,
Well, at some point, I mean, look, you can get a 600-mile. I think there's the upper end Lucid right now. You can get 600 miles. But what are you paying for that? You're paying 120,000 for that car.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This will get you there too. But yeah. We'll have to see what the cost is.
It's going to be expensive at first, but that's okay. That's innovation.
Yeah.
We all know the first DVD player was, $1,000, right? I mean, now you can buy them on Amazon for like $19.
Yeah, exactly. 20 bucks.
All right, last article. And if you get paywalled on this one, don't worry about it because there's 100 articles that have been talking about this for months. But April 13th, 2023, California wants to cover its canals with solar panels. So I saw this article. It reminded me that this article has been out there for months. So you Google solar panel canal California, you'll find 20 of these. But it's a great innovative idea. First off, space. We all talk about solar takes up a lot of land density. So to put them over the irrigation canals and also the emergency flood canals in Arizona and California makes total sense. Secondly, this stops evaporation of water, because the last thing California needs to do is literally evaporate its water. Yes, you can say right now that California's got an abundance of water. I saw that like certain planning commissions in California could actually satisfy all of their consumers' requests for water this year.
Yeah, I saw
That
that.
we've had so much. That's great news. We know that's just short term. So in order to think long term, and California's been doing a pretty good job of that, the idea of covering canals with solar panels, I think is really cool. Bad for movies like The Italian Job that want to race minis through the canals. Oh well. So this just talks about, say that I think California's putting like 20 million in stimulus money to use on this project. But I think from a tech standpoint, there's nothing really overly innovative here. This is all about placement. And great job. This is great innovative thinking. It kills two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of kills three birds with one stone. You got the land use problem of solar, you're generating solar power, and then you're also stopping, reducing the evaporation. So
good point.
Yeah, and it kind of looks, I don't know how much is generated here, but it's possible that they already have power lines also on these canals. That wouldn't be too shocking to me. So yeah, this would make it very easy to set up.
Yeah, and you know what? I also know that, especially in the Northeast, there's certain farm areas that don't even have access to electricity, right? Like one half of the farm will have electricity, then the other half does not, because of some sort of rail line that goes through the property. So, I mean, this is probably going through some pretty sparsely populated infrastructure area. So there may be power that goes alongside it, or it may be able to provide power right there on spot. So great idea, California. Let's keep thinking of these really cool things.
Yeah, maybe I could build a water tower here to pump hydro. Haha. Haha.
There you go.
Cool.
So those are my articles. Those are quick and dirty. We wanted to get something out on Earth Day today. I appreciate everyone. Hopefully the noise of the ocean behind me, which is incredibly soothing, is not irritating for the podcast. But I needed some time away. Work has been pretty crazy lately. It's been great to be here. And to be here on Earth Day is, I think, incredibly important and significant. And I'm really glad that I'm able to share it with Lucas, who really got me on this journey several years ago, and that we could both share it with all you guys.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having us. Thanks for coming along with us and watching the whole transition. It's been really fun. Yep.
And even though I'm not in the Cayman Islands, I still have to do my securities disclaimer that anything that Lucas and I talk about with any particular companies that may have underlying securities that are traded, we are not making recommendations one way or the other on the performance of any said securities. So please talk to a registered investment representative before making any decisions based on anything you may have heard here today.
Yeah, and you can find us on your favorite podcast menu. You and all your friends that you're telling about us. Just go to your favorite podcast menu, search for Pirates of Clean Tech, click the follow, and then click the heart button, obviously. We're also on YouTube. If you want to go through the articles with us, just search for Pirates of Clean Tech on YouTube, and then click the follow, and then click the like button if you really like the episode. So
there you go. Well, with that, I'm going to probably go join my wife at the pool.
Keep going.
Yeah, and maybe get dinner, get some good fresh seafood.
Go jump in the ocean for me, would you?
Probably going to do that tomorrow.
Okay.
I tell you what, it's really tidal today. There's a lot of strong current.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if there's something blowing through past or whatever, but it sounds beautiful, but it looks a little ominous.
Maybe. Okay.
All right. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I am Eric Planey.
I am Lucas Finco.
And we are the Happy Earth Day Pirates of Clean Tech.
Yar, they are.